to record. I'm allowing someone on, and we are good to go. I'm going to mute everyone so we can all pray at our homes, and then Amelia, you are running this meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay, then you can unmute yourself once you begin, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and forever, into the ages of ages. Amen. Okay, Amelia, the meeting is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm just going to ask a quick question. Who is the 847-359-4397?
Oh, hold on.
I want to make sure we're not getting Zoom bombed.
I don't think so. I just asked them to unmute. 847-359-4397.
Did somebody call in?
Yeah, that's them. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, is that you, Matthias?
That's me.
Oh,
right.
Okay, George. Sorry,
Right.
I didn't know.
I'll merge with his video. There you go. He's all good to go. Leave it, George. You're fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That was
Amelia,
fancy, Father Chris. I didn't know you could do that.
Everything Father Chris does is fancy.
Okay.
Helen also mentioned she's going to need to join by phone, Amelia.
That's fine.
Okay. Great. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us. Hopefully you had a chance to review the minutes. I think we'll be fairly brief tonight. We wanted to review a little bit about what we covered in our last meeting for any of you that weren't able to join on that. We're making progress, baby steps, but we feel good about the plan that we have laid out. Part of that plan is to host this group as a meeting on a recurring basis on the third Tuesday of every month. And so you'll continue to get that invitation. It's the same Zoom link. It will recur on a monthly basis, the third Tuesday, and we'll be sure to send out reminders as well. We're excited to introduce the long-range planning committee to the parish at large at Sunday's General Assembly meeting. So that'll be the first time that we're more or less going public with our committee. Of course, we had invited anyone that was willing and able to join the group, but we're going to announce the formation of the committee at the General Assembly meeting and sort of lay out our initial game plan. So if any of you have not yet pre-registered for the General Assembly meeting, please do so. You need to pre-register and be a steward in good standing in order to participate and vote, and that's this coming Sunday. So just a quick reminder about that. So just reviewing, the goal of this committee is essentially to develop the long-range plan for our parish to meet the growing needs of the community. And the obvious question is, what are those needs? So the initial mission is to go out to the stewards of the community and figure that out. You know, what do people feel they need from the church? Where are areas of opportunity? Where do we need to go? And what do we need to plan for on a long-range basis? So we're going to do that by conducting our survey and developing a SWOT analysis. So for those of you that might not be familiar with that phrase, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, where you really look at everything associated to the church and uncover those four areas of opportunity, and then develop a mission and a vision and a game plan to move that forward. So we're in the initial planning stages right now. Our goal is to have the survey ready to send out in January. So that will be the first big push for this group. And from there, we want to try to get all of the surveys returned by the end of February, to do our analysis by April, and then to be able to move forward with developing the actual long-range plan. So that was kind of the timeline that we had all identified on our last call. So in order to accomplish that, we developed a subcommittee, and we will have a few different subcommittees. This initial one is going to be the group that spearheads developing the actual survey. And we're really grateful that Mary Zaharis has stepped up to lead that subcommittee. She does have extensive experience in long-range planning, which is phenomenal. And the other people that have agreed to join that subcommittee, and it's definitely open to anyone else who's interested in participating, include Alexandra Politis, Elias, Gus Menendikis, and Michael, who are going to help with the sort of technology side of things, because I know we're going to need to identify an electronic platform to distribute that out. Michael and Gus, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to connect on that piece yet, or have any thoughts related to that to share with the group, or I might be jumping ahead and I don't mean to put you on the spot.
There we go. Sorry, I was on mute. I personally have not talked to Gus about that in specific. I don't know if he has any ideas or plans yet. I personally have not had any contact with him just yet about that, though.
Okay, well, we will look forward to, having that collaboration take place.
Sure.
Because I think that'll be a really important piece as we try to get the survey distributed out into the field. I know last time we talked about making sure that, of course, we want the electronic version, but we also need to have a version that we can mail out. We also need to have a version in Greek. So there's a few different components there.
Amelia, this is Gus. Just off the top of my head, we could do something like an application called MailChimp, which could do the survey that way. That's just an idea right now. That's not like set in stone, but that's what we've used in the past to do this.
Okay. I'm familiar with that one, and it's pretty basic, right?
It's just a matter of setting up the questions that you want. Obviously, because we're going to be doing them in different languages, that's going to be a little more challenging, but not impossible.
Right. Mary, did you have anything you wanted to add? We're very grateful that you've agreed to spearhead this subcommittee. It's really going to be the piece that launches, this whole process. So it's such a critical component. And again, we're grateful for your assistance and guidance on that.
Well, and I have to humbly say I'm grateful that I was asked. I would like to work with Michael and Gus at some point and talk to them about some platforms. I know I've used MailChimp as well, but I don't know if the level of analysis is there with MailChimp. You're going to get some very basic data back from that, but I don't know. It just kind of depends on what the committee wants in terms of, data and how deep of a dive we want to go into that. So we could talk about that. That sounds great. Thank you for stepping up, guys.
At this point,
yeah.
Mary, do you feel like you have, I know that Alex and Perry, who are not able to be on this call tonight, but have previously shared with us their experience working with the Metropolis on their long-range plan, shared some of their documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys feel at this point that you have enough to get started, to get your process going?
We've got more than enough to get started. It would just kind of be what kind of platform we want to use. I know a lot of the surveys that have gone out from the Metropolis were on SurveyMonkey. And we're looking at one right now, Qualtrics, for a deeper level of confidentiality for another survey that needs to go out where we don't want any traceable markers for, how the respondents are responding, so that we can protect their anonymity and confidentiality. But I don't think that's a true issue here. We just want to find out, what do people see they want, what is missing, what do they like, etc. So I don't know. I guess since I just got the call this afternoon, maybe a little time to think about it and get with the committee and see what they would like to do.
Absolutely.
So, hello everybody, this is Elias.
Hi,
Well,
Elias.
so quick, hi, how's everybody?
We're good.
Hi, Elias.
So quick question, I'm a little bit confused about this, what we call a committee and a subcommittee. And maybe it's very elementary, but I think we need to eliminate any source of possible confusion. In the first meeting, I thought there was going to be a subcommittee of some sort headed by Alexandra. And then we got a nice email from Joanna and the co-chairs explaining that because it's kind of a big undertaking, Alexandra suggested that it would be probably easier or more beneficial or less of a burden on a person to have all members of this committee participate. Mm-hmm. And I saw a list of over 30 names that they are part of this committee. So how are we going to now define, moving forward, who the committee members are? We know Mary has kindly accepted to be the leader of this team, but are we just leaving it up to whoever shows up, whoever has an opinion, or are we going to structure this committee in a way, this sub-team, this task force, in a way that it will actually have the authorization and the responsibility to come up with a survey, design it and deliver it? Because I don't like this vagueness, which maybe I'm the only one who is getting it. Maybe I'm not clear as to how we proceed. But I think we need to define the roles and the composition of this team a little bit better.
Okay, thank you, Elias. I appreciate you bringing that forward. And if you're feeling confused, I'm sure others are. I think our initial intent was to structure the subcommittee with a few people that had raised their hand and indicated an interest in helping to develop the actual survey itself. And I think that we envisioned that that smaller group of our larger committee would initially focus on the survey and then bring it to the larger committee for review and input. So that when the larger group of us is working together, you know, we have a foundation of what the actual task force relative to the survey is presenting to our group before moving forward with the actual survey.
Right.
That was my understanding. So I might be off on that. Joanne and Effie, jump in.
I think that's accurate, Amelia. And I think, you know, we all know that we had a little bit of a bump. We just found out today that Mary's now our chairperson. And I think we want to also defer a little bit to Mary in terms of how she wants to run her committee. It's a huge undertaking. And in addition to just forming the questions, you know, then she's going to have her technology group that's going to help her in terms of getting the survey out there and then getting the information back. I know we had all talked about Helen Calancis as being, she's such a great marketer. She's so inspirational. We thought she could help lead the effort to market it and promote it and make sure people get the word and they're excited about filling out the survey. And then of course you've got all of the analytics. So again, Mary kind of got this thrown into her lap this afternoon. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that, you know, now she's going to take some time to digest all of this and put together the subcommittees that she's going to need for her survey subcommittee. Does that make sense, Elias? I completely understand your confusion. You know, and for us, it was important that you also were an integral part of this, given your extensive background, which is why we, of course, had also reached out to you to see how you wanted to be involved. And we're so grateful that you've agreed to help Mary in, whatever way the two of you feel is best.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's very good. It's clarifying because we said a few different things, and I just want to make sure, because from working in teams like this, and especially remotely, which is a big disadvantage, it's so easy things to get lost in translation. And next thing we know, if you are not if there's no clarity and conciseness, we can be going in all different directions, and a month later, we still could be debating the same thing. So it's absolutely clear. So basically now, after Mary has a chance to think about this and just kind of plan a little bit more, will Mary then ask for people like us, like myself, which I'll be happy to assist, to kind of sign up, come forward, or how are we going to create this team? How is that going to happen?
Okay, and Elias, I'm hoping that you're the first one who runs to be part of this subcommittee. I find that, yes, clarity is needed, and thank you, Joanne, for providing that for us. But one of the concerns I have about working with a larger group is that you can never get consensus about everything or anything.
Yeah.
And so a smaller body may take an attempt, I'm just thinking out loud right now, at creating the categories of questions that we're thinking about, running it past the larger body here, seeing if there's anything that we're missing. And then really the detail work is what will take, I think, some considerable effort on the part of not many, but a few people who have been exposed to the survey world, and framing those questions just right so they're not leading or they're not, not confusing, but for people to have any sort of suspicion for why that question is what it is, et cetera, and to be totally transparent about things. So Elias, I would like very much, if you give me tomorrow, I have an all-day training. I can't get with you tomorrow, but if I could exchange, phone number and email with you, at least start with the two of us putting our heads together, and then moving forward to thinking about, I think technology's a little bit further down the road and worrying about how we're going to implement that survey. But we need to think about the various aspects that have been spoken about tonight. We need to first think about how we're going to format it in English, find out who will be able to translate it for us, and then we can, I think, move to what kind of technology we need. The most important step in all of this is, of course, the analysis. So that, again, is undertaken by just a few people. And we look at the raw data, we take the raw data, we crunch the data and make it easy for people to understand, present it to this body, just kind of off the top of my head. That's how I think we'll proceed. And I do think January is pretty doable. I think we'll be able to come up with some categories and at least some questions that will help us go down that road.
So Mary, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, absolutely.
Just for a point of clarification, because I do think Elias raises a good point.
Yes.
If there are people on this call right now who feel their skill set would be helpful for you in a particular area, do you want them to email you and let them know, hey, I want to help, this is how I think I could be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to think how we could do that so that it could be open to everyone. You have a list of everyone in this group.
Yes.
So maybe I could ask you to send out a notice to everyone saying, we're going to have our first committee meeting next week, or whatever it happens to be, if you're interested in joining. Or they could email, either way, but just kind of have an open invitation with that.
Perfect.
But I think I'd like to kind of like do a little co-captain planning maybe with Elias first, and get his thoughts on where we're going with this and how soon we could get started.
Perfect.
I would add that for sure, I know Alexandra would like to be part of that subcommittee.
Absolutely.
And, I would encourage anyone else on the call, even if you haven't done, this particular type of work in the past, what you do have is knowledge about our church, and you bring your perspective. Everyone has their own perspective. You bring your unique perspective about the church to the committee. So you would be very instrumental in helping them shape the proper questions. And so don't think just because maybe you haven't worked on this type of work before, you can't contribute, because you absolutely can, because what we're looking for is your unique perspective on the church, and to help create the survey. So we'll look for that email to come out, and if anybody is interested in joining that subcommittee, please absolutely respond. That would be fantastic. And then I would segue that on a similar note. Helen has been gracious enough to agree to chair the marketing effort for the survey. Basically, we're going to need to get that word out to try to get as much feedback and as many responses as possible. And she's going to need help doing that. So that would be our second subcommittee that could meet separately outside this group, determine, what their plan is, and then report back to the larger group. Helen, I want to turn it over to you and just see if you have any additional thoughts on that, and how you envision sort of leading that effort.
Helen,
Did we lose Helen?
there she's there.
Hi, sorry, I'm calling from my phone.
That's
No
okay.
worries.
So I wasn't prepared to speak. So I don't know exactly, I guess at this point, what you're looking from me to do. So, I mean, I'm definitely obviously willing to, take on whatever you need me to do, and kind of, maybe guide me to who's maybe interested in helping in the marketing effort, if we have anyone interested that's on this call.
Absolutely. I think, broad strokes here, but, developing sort of, an email campaign, a regular snail mail campaign, maybe making sure we're promoting it in the bulletin and in the voice. Of course, if we were in church, there would be many more, face-to-face opportunities at coffee hour, et cetera. We'll see, what unfolds towards the beginning of the year. But those are the type of efforts I would imagine we would need to undertake to encourage as many people as possible to respond to the survey.
Maybe even looking into social media to promote it.
Yes, for sure. I would say definitely through our church, like Facebook page and all of that. Do we have help from the office, Father, or how is that going to work? Like, is that going to help with blasts?
So we will, I guess everything just needs to be created from your guys' standpoint. And then from the office, regarding social media, regarding snail mail, and our listserv, everything should be able to be sent out very, very easy. And I think we can get out. I guess what really needs to be done now is actually the formation of stuff. So for the first committee that you guys talked about with Elias and Diaconisa, I know she just took it on now. We're really gonna have to start getting on that ball this next, Thanksgiving and December month, so that the next meeting that we have, we can actually have the stuff begin to be prepared. Because our goal is, as we said, January, February to start sending this stuff out. So we really got to kind of get the ball now really rolling, because now that we've got our subcommittee set, and same with Helen. Helen's point as well too, I would recommend that for marketing purposes, I am going to express it, but we're going to have to harp on it, and everyone's going to have to take this challenge on, both parish council members and committee members. You're all going to have to make calls personally. Because we're not going to be able to be in person in church to the capacity that we want. It could even be so sad that they might close the churches again because of everything else happening. That means we will be even more diminished in having the actual personal touch and face-to-face contact. So what that means then is that everyone literally has to start calling people that they know, either ask the questions over the phone or simply send it to them directly, or I don't know how, but we got to get that, because even though we have some window of opportunity during this COVID-19 pandemic, Elias was 100% correct. We're also against the wall because we don't have what would normally be offered to have that personal one-on-one touch and capacity to do that. So we really gotta, I would almost express, to be very diligent and almost annoying to people, because if we don't do that, we will not get the data that Diakonisa and everyone else needs to crunch this information, and then this will fall flat on its face. So we really gotta, I think, not only be ahead of the curve, but we actually, if anything, to your people, to all of everyone's thoughts, we have to think outside the box. How we can get out to people who are part of our community, people who used to be a part of the community, and people who might be interested in being with our community, because they're the ones who are going to give us this input, so we can then gather all this information and pass it down later in the spring of 2021.
And Helen, that type of information can be, we do have that in the office, you know, current stewards, past stewards, so that can be coordinated with the office to get you that information. And, you know, maybe I would encourage, like, we might need like a more creative committee committee name versus long range plan. I don't know what that is. Maybe we need a logo. Maybe we need to really like kind of, you know, appeal to, you know, the graphic side of things. And, you know, I think that will help the committee take shape, and also, you know, shape our message around, you know, the future of the church. So maybe a couple other things to think about.
Yeah, I agree, Amelia. And just to kind of piggyback on what Father was saying and what you guys were saying about like the social media and kind of reaching people outside of our parish, I'm such a strong like believer of Facebook, and because we reach so many people that it's not just from our parish. So if we could maybe start kind of like a sub event underneath the St. Nectario's like Facebook page, so then and you know, get all the committee members on that event page, so then you can all share it. So then we can have the link on there directly to the survey that's
Right.
you know, eventually going to be made, and everything's going to be in one spot. So we can just, you know, constantly share that out and people can go in there.
And that's where I think Michael could help too, because I know depending on what generation, and we want to reach all generations, I don't think the younger ones use Facebook anymore, for example. I think that they're using
Right,
Instagram.
Yeah.
And maybe Michael can help direct us in the right direction to make sure that we're reaching his peers.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you do make a good point. I would say Facebook is a great tool, but I mean, you're right. It's definitely something that people around my age are using less and less as time goes on. So that's definitely something that we need to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Us old
I would
folks still
see-
use Facebook.
I'm hoping, Michael, that you'll take an active role in this subcommittee, the survey subcommittee.
Of course, can help wherever I'm needed.
And if you can bring some of your peers in to work with you, I think that would be great too.
Sure. Of course.
Great.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. Did someone have a question?
Just one, Mary, is it unrealistic, and Elias, for us to ask if you think you could have a draft of the survey for our next meeting, which is a month away? Oh, you're on mute, Mary.
Okay, sorry.
We can have a draft tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the question is not what we want to do.
Uh-huh.
The question is this: we need to be on target with the information requirements. The survey is going to be as good as the precise and the depth of information, the precision and the depth of the question, of the information we want to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the survey will serve the broader goal of the key information we need to have in our hands at the end of the survey. It's just an instrument. So we can all serve, all the members of the committee, we can all serve as a good focus group of collecting ideas and concerns and thoughts not in the form of questions, so nobody has to do the work of the actual forming the questions, but give us material, give us things that we can then see in front of us from a team that is already engaged and ahead of everybody else, and see what it is that you're thinking about this project, what is that you need to know at the end of the day. So once we get this material, even a few bullet points, then Diagonisa Mary and myself and other people who are going to be part of this model group can then sit down and start forming the questions. And that's not a hard thing to do, as long as we know what we're asking and why we're asking it. And this cannot be just the job of 5, 6 people coming up with the survey and also defining the direction of the survey. The direction and the content has to come from Father and all the people involved in the committee in some capacity or another. And that would be very useful for us to have this raw material to start drawing ideas, because that's really is going to be the tough part. The actual wording of the question and giving the 4 answers or the 2 answers or the true, false, or please give us this and that. The amount of the number of questions which are going to be quantifiable or open-ended, those are just mechanics of the survey process which we can easily decide. I'm sure Mary and other people who have done surveys before, it's not really that hard to do. And as far as the Greek part, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, maybe not today. I can do the Greek part. That's not a problem for me. I can do that very well. If we had to come to the point of translating, that's easy. So anyway, I'm sorry I said too much, but no. I wanted to make sure I didn't lose the thought of actually inviting everybody to share their input. Mm-hmm. It's the best use of everybody's time without having to worry too much. 10 minutes is enough to put down 5, 6 points, and then let's review them all together and see, okay, what does the community, even a group of 30 people that we are this committee, think that they're important issues to bring up.
Ilya, I not recommend, I'm telling you, please send an email to this entire committee requesting this on behalf of you, Diakonisa, and your subcommittee, so that every person can answer. And I'm talking about tonight. Once this meeting's over, please send us that email. Ask us exactly what you want for bullet points. And we will also share it to the parish council as well, too, and to any ministry heads of our community, just so we can have. That should be about a 50-person constituent that can give us understanding of what you are requesting, so we can give you some idea on this. I think you and Diakonisa, on that point, just one of you, just send us that email so we can send it to, so we can get these responses to you ASAP, so you guys can continue your work.
Okay,
Father,
yeah, and
Father, thank you very much. You said something very important. Imagine if we started doing this and there was no opinion or no involvement from the parish council. And here we are with a survey a month later, and it does not reflect what the parish council views of this initiative. So it's a great idea, and thank you for giving us that chance. Diagonisa Mary, we can talk about doing this. I just wanted to say it now, because sending all these emails, sometimes we just look at them and we ignore them and we leave them there, and then 10 days later, there's nothing. So yes, if that's a way to do it, we would be happy to do it.
Okay. And I do think, Elias, it will take a little time for you and I to speak and come together, because I totally agree. You can't start crafting questions if you don't know. You have to begin with the end in mind.
Right.
And what is that end? And what is it that we're expecting to get out of this information that we're asking people? The only way we can know is to identify, like you said, 5 or 6 categories, and then crafting the questions is really the work of few. You don't really need very many people working on the questions themselves. That's the detail work. But
right.
It does, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Like I said, tomorrow I cannot, but probably Thursday I can get something to, who would I send it to? Joanna or Amelia, to get it out to the group. Like
Sure.
I can draft the thought and ask the various constituencies to contribute, 4 categories that they think are the top burning issues that they'd like to find out about and or improve or explore at St. Octavio. So yeah.
And I would encourage you all to also lean on Alex and Perry
Yes.
again.
I will.
They weren't able to be on the call tonight. I know that when we had our very first meeting, one of the things that, Perry said that really led to the strength of the undertaking at the metropolis level is, they tried very carefully not to ask any type of leading questions, to try to keep it more open-ended. And I think there was some feedback that in the past, when surveys were done, the questions were sort of leading in a certain direction, and that's not really what we're trying to do. We don't want to lead. We want to hear, from the community what they want. So again, not my area of expertise, but I know that that is where you guys excel, and don't feel that you can't pull in Alex and Perry, because I think they went through the process and they had some great success with it.
Yeah, and I emailed with, I think it was, I can't remember who emailed me this afternoon, but is she on tonight? Stoika? I think Oh, there she
Mary.
there you are.
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did say that I will personally reach out to Perry and speak with him and communicate that I want him to be part of the few that work on those major categories. The only thing that I would add, and I don't know, Elias, if you would concur, but too many open-ended questions will take an enormous amount of time to analyze the data.
And not only that, people will not take the time to answer them. Yeah.
So I
it has to be a
understand
good
where you're coming
balance.
from. Yeah. But it has to be quicker than that. And to Michael and his generation, I teach graduate and doctoral students, they cannot put their phones down. It has to be something they can do on their phone. And if they can't do it on their phone and they can't click something and get it done, they won't do it.
Right.
So I think we have to keep that in mind too.
Of course. Do we have any other questions, thoughts? I know we haven't heard from everybody, but please feel free to speak up or.
I have a request actually. Can we, I think Joanne had sent out a list for everyone to fill out and include their email and phone number. Is it possible we can resend it to everyone, but can everyone just fill in their number for us or email or whatever information is missing, just to keep that current so that we all have that information and we're able to reach each other when we need to? That'd be helpful. Thank you.
That's a great reminder, Effie. Thank you.
And then could you possibly add a column to that, maybe showing like what everyone's subcommittee is, or like what everyone's working on, maybe, so we know, if we have a question to contact who? I don't know if that's possible on that list.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Helen. Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay, well, I'll plug one more time. Please register for the General Assembly meeting and participate in that on Sunday. We will look forward to seeing you there. And with that, Father, did you have any other questions, comments, thoughts, or you could lead us in our closing prayer?
No, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out to meet with us tonight. As we know, we've already scheduled the other meeting dates, so please put those on your calendar. The Zoom meeting will be the same Zoom link, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And also, if you want to express to Joanne, Effie, and Amelia, of anyone else who's still interested in helping, this is a fluid committee in which we could always take on more participants to help out in any capacity. So let's not forget that as well. And I just thank all of you for your love and effort. I look forward to Sunday's General Assembly meeting. It's imperative that everyone is on there because we do have a lot to talk about and we have a lot to discuss so that we can pass what we need. But I think it'd be a great opportunity so that we can get some positive energy about this committee that we have created here, so that we can get more involvement and participation from the rest of our stewards and friends of St. Nectario's Church. That's it. That's all I have. I pray everyone has a blessed week. Stay healthy, stay well. Naturally, a happy Thanksgiving next week as well too with your families. Be thankful for everything that we have and how blessed we are with everything that we have. And after that, that's what we'll leave it with there. So I'll leave with a short prayer. Through the prayers of our Holy Fathers, Lord Jesus Christ our God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. Kalinichta, everyone. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being on. And again, this was recorded. We're going to put it on our YouTube channel, and people can watch it from there. And again, as I said, please encourage other ones to come help and participate in this wonderful community.
Thank you, everyone, and
Thank you,
especially a
everybody.
big
Good night.
thanks to
Thank you.
Mary
Bye.
and Leah.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you, everyone.